Good evening, Des Moines, Iowa, and the world. Welcome to the Doc and Lefty program, coming to you on docandlefty.com and broadcasting from the webcast1live.com studios that are still, for now, nestled in the heart of downtown Des Moines, just above Burger King and to the left of a pretzel shop. And you know what? There's no better place for me and my partner. I call him the big guy in the sky, Dr. Bertroche. Doc, how is it going? It is great to see you after a long 3-day weekend.
Oh yeah, it's always great. How was your weekend?
You
Get
know
a lot of gigs in?
Well, I'll tell you this. My Saturday at Mickey's in Waukee was great. It started off good. People were coming in and eating, and they stuck around a little bit for a while, and then about 11 o'clock on into the midnight hour, you didn't get that late crowd because a lot of those late partiers are probably camping or doing something fun for Memorial Day, which was perfectly fine. But I had a great time. I always have a great time. They take really good care of me there. But I got to do one of my favorite things yesterday, which is watch baseball and drink beer outside. And my business partner in his
were you watching the JV game or something?
No,
I was at the Cubs.
I was at the Cubs game.
All right.
My business partner and his wife invited me to use a couple of their tickets, and we went and we watched the Cubs, and it was great. The Cubs ended up losing, unfortunately, which is always a bummer. And I'll tell you, when you give up 17 hits. When you give up 17 hits, it's tough to win. Tough to win that game, and I mean, then
it's like giving up 500 yards on the ground,
right? And I'm gonna screw up the nickname, so I'm not even gonna try it. But the away team from Reno is just, they were on the base paths. It felt like every other at bat, and that's really hard to mount any sort of meaningful defense. So that was a really good time. I got to drink beer and eat a hot dog, and I couldn't have been happier. What did you do on Memorial Day?
Well, I ran around. I found a riding mower, because I'm now officially too old and decrepit to mow all the properties I have to mow. And so I went and got that, and here's my day. I drove out to where I keep my trailer, got my trailer lock key, so I had to drive back. And then I turned around, drove back out, and forgot the key to the garage. And so I had to drive back to Des Moines. So I burned a solid 4 hours running back and forth because I'm just that kind of bonehead.
Ooh.
And then I finally go over there and got it on. And of course, it's Memorial Day. This guy has 3 sheets to the wind. So he offers to drive it up into the trailer for me. I'm like, no, that's okay. And he rams it right into my motorcycle chock on the inside. And then he guns it and peels rubber on my brand new trailer, smacking into the side. So I went up there and turned it off, and I said, you probably, it's illegal to drive while you're drunk.
It's true. If it's motorized, you can't ride it.
And then to top it off, I pull out. I need to pull my vehicles out of the driveway. My neighbor screams and yells at me, gives me the finger. Don't even know what I did. All I did was get out of the truck.
Well, I mean.
You're familiar with the neighbor.
I am. Well, I was going to take a cheap shot at you, saying you got to be used to people giving you the finger at this point. But,
yes, I am.
But
I'm very used to it, and I'm used to people screaming at me. And but honest to God, usually I've done something by that point, but not this time. I just got out of my truck.
Well, I'm sorry that that happened to you. Now I feel a little bit bad that I had such a great weekend.
No, don't feel bad. I'm glad somebody had a great weekend.
Well, and you know what? I thought it might have been going to see here on Doc and Lefty. Generally, we devolve we collapse into some level of I don't, what would you call it, like low hum as far as the satisfaction in our lives. Yes, and so if one of us has a great weekend, the other one probably had a terrible weekend. When we both have mediocre weekends, that's where sort of the asymptote gets close, but not quite to zero. And I'm glad on the one hand that I was able to contribute a little positivity to the world, but I'm sorry that happened to you, buddy.
Nah, that's all right. It's just the way things go.
Speaking of, and we're going to move on. I just wanted to mention this quickly before we move on to what we have scheduled to talk about tonight. But the polls hadn't closed before. I think that. Well, it was a Friday or Saturday, I think, and so you might not have been aware of it before you sent me the rundown. But Ireland, over the last couple of days, has just become the first country to legalize same-sex marriage by a popular vote. And for those folks who are supportive of that kind of thing, Congratulations to you all. They had a less than vigorous no vote in Ireland, which is surprising given the very still, even after the 10, even though it's been waning over the last 10, 15 years, they still have a very devoted religious population in Ireland, and that the yes to same-sex marriage crowd won by over 60% of the vote is what I saw.
Yep.
Which is sort of a surprise.
Well, and it surprised both sides, but I'm going to tell you, it really didn't surprise me. And here's the reason why. Now, I haven't been able to find a breakdown of the votership, and that's going to take a couple of weeks before they crunch all those numbers. Here's what I know, that the say yes to gay marriage people are extremely adept at manipulating social media. All kinds of social media. I'm reading this book now by Eric Qualman called Socialnomics, and then there's something else. I think it's called The Digital Life, something like that. He's written them both. It is a fascinating study, and I think I've said this before on the show. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist. This new generation of children, we really don't know anything about. We don't understand what makes them tick. But I'm going to tell you, the people that run social media knows what makes them tick. And so what they did is they got the message out as hard as they could, targeting people in Ireland that could potentially be sympathetic. And those are going to be the younger voters. So what I anticipate is it's going to be something like the Reagan Revolution, except in reverse. All these children came out that have the ability to vote. They came out and they voted for gay marriage. Now, we've said on the show before, really, gay marriage is not my fight. I understand what it's about. And, and I've told the Republicans 100 different times, gay marriage is not a fight you're going to win. You better protect the churches. Now, what I anticipate happening from this, and I could be wrong, and I hope that I'm wrong, but I think this is going to open up, we're going to start suing the churches so that we can get married in the church, even though they don't believe in that kind of thing. Because that's kind of started, it's already happened in England. It's kind of sort of happening here in Iowa.
It's not happening here in Iowa at all.
It sure is. It's not. Christian businesses are being targeted.
Those aren't churches, buddy.
Yeah, I know, but they're businesses.
That doesn't matter. Hold on a second. Because you're mischaracterizing it. You're mischaracterizing it. This is what I really get. What really frustrates me about this is that we have a different system than Europe. And so when conservatives here bemoan these same-sex marriage votes or the same-sex marriage lawsuits in Europe, that is precisely that vulnerability in Europe is because all of the churches, whether it be in Denmark or in England or in France to a certain degree, although to a lesser degree, not so much in the Republic of Ireland, although it still is a national entity, churches in most of the European countries that have these problems are state churches. They are identified as the church of the state. And so when you do that and you enact legislation with an inherently religious aspect to it, you are going to be vulnerable to the flip side, which is the state pushing back against the church. We don't have that here in this country. We do not have that here in this country. So when you talk about a for-profit business having a problem with civil rights legislation that has been on the books in spirit, if not in particular, protections for same-sex people for 40 years. That is a different analysis than to say we're going to be able to sue churches which have always been exempted under the First Amendment of the Constitution. It is not the same thing. We do not have the same kind of vulnerability. I just want to make that clear.
Okay, I'm glad I got you all fired up for the show.
Absolutely.
That was the goal. Anyway, I've told these Republican friends, you better start protecting the churches and the Christian-run businesses so that they have some kind of legitimate protection.
It's called the Constitution, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, the lefts are always trying to take the Constitution down. But the bottom line is Ireland, look at that. The Church of, the Catholic Church is now extremely vulnerable to suit in Ireland. And it's really, it's going to be a very telling situation because apparently the Pope came out and said the vote in Ireland was a defeat for humanity. I just read that. It was on Huffington Post just now.
The Catholics have their own soul searching to do about gay marriage votes in predominantly Catholic countries. I don't know, and I don't know if because Northern Ireland is still associated with the Church of England.
Yes.
And that means they're still associated with England itself. I don't know if the Catholic Church in Ireland is the official state church of Ireland. I'm not sure if that's how they characterize it. But if it is, that's going to be an issue, and maybe they should think about addressing that.
Yeah.
I
agree.
It's a tradition. The state and the church have been intertwined in Europe for thousands of years. It's a tradition, and that goes back a long time, but it's not the same as what we have here.
Yeah. We'll be back right after these breaks. I want to thank all of our sponsors, including Bertrosian Associates, Lubinas Law Firm, Des Moines Interest Rates, which is Halo Capital, and Des Moines Anesthesia PC at 515-574-6442. They do anesthesia and pain management. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and check us out at docandlefty.com. We'll be back right after this break.
Bertrosian Associates, how can I help you?
Bertrosian Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer